Is 2025 the end of humanity, according to Nostradamus and Baba Vanga? Throughout history, humanity has always been curious, sometimes even obsessed, with knowing what lies ahead. And among the most mysterious and talked about prophets are Nostradamus, the French seer whose cryptic quatrains still echo through time, and Baba Vanga, the blind mystic of Bulgaria, whose visions continue to spark awe and fear. Both left behind predictions that some believe point to a cataclysmic turning point in 2025. War, natural disasters, and even the fall of civilization itself. Could these ancient warnings truly be describing the end of humanity as we know it? Before we dive into these chilling prophecies and their striking connections to the world today, please take a moment to like, share, and subscribe to the Journey of Wisdom. Your support helps us spread these thought-provoking insights to more curious minds. And don't forget to comment below. We'd love to hear your thoughts on what's coming. Trust me, what you're about to discover may just shift how you see the future. Let's begin. Number 1. Predicted wars and conflicts. In the mysterious realm of prophecy, few names are as well known as Baba Vanga and Nostradamus. These two figures, separated by centuries, both issued chilling warnings about our near future, specifically the year 2025. Baba Vanga, often called the Balkan Nostradamus, warned that humanity might be teetering on the edge of extinction by then, pointing to a catastrophic conflict in Europe that could result in a massive loss of life. Her vision feels eerily relevant today, especially as we witness ongoing unrest and unresolved tensions between nations like Russia and Ukraine. These tensions are not merely political. They touch the lives of real people, breaking families, creating fear, and shaking the sense of stability we often take for granted. Meanwhile, Nostradamus, writing over 400 years ago, spoke of a rise in armed conflicts within Europe during this same time period, 2025. He too pointed to Russia as a central force in a potential unraveling of peace. When two distant seers share such aligned visions, many begin to wonder, is this fate, coincidence, or a reflection of human patterns repeating over time? Regardless of whether you believe in prophecy, the message here invites us to pause and reflect deeply on the direction we are heading. In today's world, technology connects us instantly, yet misunderstandings and mistrust seem to grow just as fast. It's easy to feel powerless watching global events unfold, but we must remember that peace begins with us, with how we speak, how we treat one another, and how we choose to respond in moments of conflict. The future isn't only shaped by politicians or armies, it's shaped by ordinary people choosing compassion over hate, dialogue over violence. So, as we listen to these warnings from the past, let them guide us not into fear, but into awareness. The path of wisdom is not in avoiding darkness, but in lighting a candle of understanding wherever we can. Number 2. Alien contact. Baba Vanga, the mysterious blind mystic whose predictions have stirred curiosity for decades, claimed something both extraordinary and unsettling: that beings from other worlds would soon reveal themselves, not through whispers or hidden signals, but in a way that is bold, clear, and impossible to ignore. Think about that for a moment. Not science fiction, not secret sightings, but a full, undeniable encounter that would shake our understanding of life itself. If such a moment were to come, how would you respond? How would humanity respond? For generations, we've looked up at the stars, wondering if we're alone. Our science, as advanced as it is, still hasn't proven life beyond Earth. But if these beings were to step forward, the question wouldn't be if they exist. It would be, what now? Suddenly, everything we thought we knew, our beliefs, our history, even our sense of identity, would be questioned. Could we accept that we are not the most advanced, not the center of the universe? According to Baba Vanga, these extraterrestrial visitors would not just bring shocking news, they would come with knowledge, with technologies and spiritual wisdom far beyond what we currently understand. This isn't just about flying saucers or alien languages, it's about evolution. It's about a potential turning point where we as a human race are pushed to grow, mentally, spiritually, and morally. Would their presence humble us? Would it unite us as a species, finally realizing that the borders we draw and the conflicts we create are meaningless on a cosmic scale? Or would we resist the unknown, clinging to fear instead of reaching for growth? The deeper message here isn't about fearing what might come from the stars. It's about how we prepare ourselves right now to face the unknown with clarity and compassion. Are we living in a way that reflects wisdom, unity, and openness to truth? Because if we truly believe there's more to existence than just our own world, then our actions today, how we treat one another, how we care for our planet, and how we cultivate inner peace, will determine whether we are ready to meet the future, no matter how mysterious it may be. The lesson is simple but powerful. Instead of waiting for change to arrive from above, let's begin the transformation within. Number 3. Biological weapon threat. One of the more haunting warnings tied to the year 2025 comes from the mysterious figure of Baba Vanga, who allegedly foresaw that a nation might release a biological weapon. What makes this prediction especially chilling is the lack of detail. No name of a country, no known target. Just a vague but ominous signal of danger. In a world already burdened by political tension, international distrust, and growing technological capabilities, the idea of biological warfare is not just a distant nightmare, it is a very real threat that looms quietly in the background of global affairs. Modern science has made incredible advances in medicine, yet the same knowledge that heals can be twisted into tools of destruction. History has shown us that when fear, power, and ambition collide, the consequences can be devastating. Events like the recent global pandemic reminded us how vulnerable human society can be when faced with unseen forces. A deliberately released biological agent would not only harm people physically, but would also shatter economies, divide communities, and ignite waves of fear and suspicion that could tear at the fabric of humanity. And so, Baba Vanga's warning is not just a prophecy, it is a mirror that reflects the urgent need for wisdom, compassion, and cooperation in today's world. Instead of falling into panic or dread, we can take this as a reminder of what matters most, our shared responsibility to protect one another. Leaders must prioritize diplomacy over dominance, and as individuals, we must cultivate empathy, stay informed, and speak out against hate and division. In uncertain times, the best defense against darkness is to stay awake, not just politically, but spiritually. This means choosing kindness over cruelty, unity over separation, and mindfulness over fear. When we live from a place of peace and awareness, we build a future where predictions like these remain unfulfilled. If you've watched up to this point, you're already unlocking the mysteries that could shape humanity's future. Comment below with "Awakened Mind" to show you're ready to explore the predictions of Nostradamus and Baba Vanga with clarity and curiosity. Don't go anywhere. There's still more to uncover. Number 4. Putin's predicted death. Let's take a moment to reflect on a chilling prediction that's captured the curiosity and concern of many. Baba Vanga's foresight into 2025, particularly about the fate of Russian President Vladimir Putin. She claimed that his death would not come from a foreign adversary or battlefield rivalry, but from someone very close to him, perhaps even a trusted ally. Can you imagine the weight of betrayal that comes from within your own circle? According to her vision, this act might stem from frustration or desperation, maybe a final, reckless attempt to stop an ongoing war or prevent further destruction. But here's the twist. Rather than ending the conflict and bringing peace, such an event could spark even greater instability. Instead of calm, we may see confusion, with nations caught in a storm of mistrust, fear, and retaliation. This possibility invites us to pause and think deeply. What happens when power, fear, and violence mix behind closed doors? What would a global community do if one shocking act led to a ripple of chaos across continents? In the words of the Buddha, hatred does not cease by hatred, but only by love. This is the eternal rule. This wisdom reminds us that even when faced with conflict or fear, responding with more violence only deepens suffering. So what if the prophecy isn't meant to scare us, but to wake us up, to help us ask ourselves, what kind of world are we building? One where betrayal and bloodshed lead the way, or one where understanding, compassion, and dialogue become our weapons of choice? When we hear predictions like this, it's natural to feel unsettled. But fear doesn't have to paralyze us. It can motivate us to choose better, to act more wisely, and to ask better questions. What can each of us do today to reduce conflict, even in our own circles? How can we become part of the healing, not the harm? These are not just mystical visions of the future. They are mirrors reflecting the choices we face right now. And in this reflection, we must each decide, will we be the cause of further chaos, or the light that guides others through it? Number 5. The Red Adversary. Let's take a deeper look into one of Nostradamus's most mysterious and debated predictions, the warning of the Red Adversary. Nostradamus, known for cloaking his visions in poetic language, mentioned that this adversary would grow anxious and one day threaten the great ocean. Many have interpreted the term Red Adversary to represent a powerful nation associated with the color red, a symbol that has long been linked with communism and revolution. For decades, the Soviet Union, and later Russia, were seen as this adversary by the West. The Soviet red flag became a global emblem of ideological tension, and even now, Russia remains a country that sparks unease on the world stage. But there's another nation that proudly wears the color red: China. Under the leadership of the Communist Party, China has risen swiftly, becoming an economic and political giant. Its influence stretches across continents through trade, technology, military expansion, and diplomatic alliances. While once it stayed quiet on global issues, now China stands tall, sometimes even confrontational, especially in its complex relationship with the United States. So, we must ask ourselves, Could this red adversary Nostradamus referred to actually be China? And what does it mean when a once quiet dragon begins to roar across oceans? If we reflect on the present moment, there is undeniable tension rising in multiple regions. Economic battles, cyber threats, territorial disputes, and ideological rifts. Is this just history repeating itself? Or are we living in a time when age-old predictions begin to feel uncomfortably relevant? These questions don't ask us to panic, but to pause, to observe, to think. Could the great ocean be a symbol of the Pacific, now a stage for global power play? Or is it more metaphorical, representing the vast distance between ideals and actions? The truth is, we don't need to look at these prophecies as doom-filled warnings. We can treat them as invitations to wake up, to look around at our shared world with more awareness and compassion. In the end, whether or not these predictions come to pass, we still hold the power of choice. The real adversary is not always outside us. Sometimes it's within: fear, greed, ignorance, and a thirst for control. The lesson here is not to label who the enemy is, but to recognize how easily conflict grows when understanding fades. Let us be wise enough to look beyond colors and countries, and instead focus on building peace, fostering dialogue, and being mindful of the direction we're headed. So I'll leave you with this. In a world so connected, can we truly afford to see each other as adversaries? Or is it time we become allies in creating a future rooted in wisdom, not worry? Number 6. Mars and Celestial Fire. Imagine for a moment looking up at the sky in 2025 and feeling a strange sense that something bigger is unfolding beyond our planet. One of Nostradamus's more mysterious and poetic predictions speaks of a celestial fire on another planet, alongside the dimming of Mars's light, a vision that has stirred curiosity for centuries. While his writings often appear cryptic, many modern scholars and enthusiasts believe this could relate to our growing obsession with Mars. Yes, you heard that right. Mars, the red planet that's no longer just a distant star in the sky, but a destination in our plans for the future. Elon Musk, with his bold SpaceX missions, and NASA too, are racing toward the dream of colonizing Mars, aiming to make it a second home for humanity by mid-century. And as we inch closer to sending humans there, it's not surprising that people have begun connecting these ancient prophecies to our modern-day ambitions. Could the celestial fire represent an unexpected disaster during a Mars mission? Or maybe it's a metaphor for the inner conflict that arises when humanity stretches beyond its spiritual depth in search of material expansion. And what about the dimming light? Could it symbolize the fading of Mars's hope as a new beginning, or a literal change in the sky that reveals something we're not yet ready to face? These are not just predictions, they're prompts for deep reflection. We must ask ourselves, in our pursuit of conquering space, are we also seeking to escape the problems we've created here on Earth? Or are we looking for a new place to start again? Wiser, kinder, more united? When we hear these old prophecies, instead of fearing the end, perhaps we're being invited to wake up. What if this fire is not a literal flame, but the fire of our own desires, our craving for control, for progress, for survival at all costs? And in that craving, are we losing sight of our inner light, the compassion and wisdom that must guide us through these uncertain times? Think about it. Why are we so drawn to predictions of doom? Is it because we're secretly searching for meaning in the chaos? Is the prophecy about Mars really about the planet, or about the future of human consciousness? These are the questions that matter, and they're not meant to scare us, but to inspire us to live more mindfully. In Buddhism, there's a teaching that says, better than 1,000 hollow words is one word that brings peace. So as we reflect on Nostradamus's words and look toward 2025, let's not be consumed by fear, but rather stirred to ask deeper questions. What kind of world do we want to create, on Earth or Mars? And are we carrying with us the wisdom to build not just new civilizations, but better hearts? Number 7. USA in crisis and Trump. In the swirl of predictions surrounding 2025, one stands out. A vision of a mighty power, often interpreted as the United States, entering a period of great economic strain and political upheaval. Many who study Nostradamus believe he foresaw not just a general decline, but a moment where a giant would stumble, opening the door to drastic shifts in global leadership and internal order. This interpretation draws even more attention when connected to Donald Trump, a figure who has consistently dominated headlines and divided opinions. Some researchers, blending ancient texts with modern analysis, draw eerie parallels between Trump's journey and a prophecy that speaks of a strong yet divisive leader, one who stirs passionate support and fierce resistance alike. Although the prophecy doesn't name him directly, the description of a powerful individual facing internal and external conflict rings familiar. What makes this narrative even more compelling and unsettling is the warning that such a leader may face a grim fate, possibly at the hands of a foreign adversary, with Trump having already survived threats in his political career. The link feels disturbingly plausible. Yet, it's crucial to approach these ideas not with fear, but with reflection. Whether or not one believes in prophecy, the underlying message speaks to a larger truth about our world today. Societies are becoming more polarized, economies are fragile, and leadership is being tested like never before. Instead of being swept away by sensational predictions, we should use them as a mirror to examine the state of our own nation and personal lives. Are we placing too much faith in individuals instead of collective wisdom? Are we prepared for the possibility that change, painful though it may be, can also be a turning point for healing and transformation? Let this be a time not of panic, but of clarity, where we recognize that real power lies not in one person's hands, but in our shared responsibility to seek peace, practice compassion, and build a future rooted in wisdom, not fear. If you're still watching, you're not here by accident. These ancient prophecies might hold messages meant just for you. Type "eyes open" in the comments to affirm your curiosity and courage to face the unknown. Keep watching. What's coming next may change the way you see the future. Number 8. Natural disasters and climate crisis. Let's take a moment to truly reflect on what's happening around us. One of Nostradamus' unsettling predictions for the year 2025 is that the greatest suffering won't come from war or conflict, but from the earth itself. He warned of massive natural disasters, events so powerful and widespread that they could shake the very foundation of human life. Now, when we look around, isn't that already starting to feel true? Wildfires rage longer, storms grow stronger, droughts stretch for months, and floods consume cities that never expected such tides. The connection between these disasters and climate change becomes harder to deny. Our planet is speaking, and perhaps even shouting, for us to wake up. Nostradamus foresaw extreme weather events that could lead to agricultural collapse, particularly hinting that wheat, a symbol of basic sustenance, could become so rare and expensive that it may spark desperation among communities. Think about that. What happens when the very bread we rely on becomes a luxury? This isn't just about crop failures, it's about families going hungry, economies trembling, and societies struggling to adapt to a world where the climate no longer follows predictable patterns. But here's the real question. Are we listening? Are we paying attention to the signs that nature and even old prophecies are revealing? Baba Vanga, another mystic whose predictions continue to stir global curiosity, echoed similar concerns about natural calamities in her visions. Her insights speak of nature's fury becoming more intense, possibly warning us of what lies ahead if we continue to live disconnected from the environment. While some may question the accuracy of these forecasts, they nonetheless serve as powerful reminders that our actions or inactions shape the future we're walking into. So what do we take from all this? Whether or not you believe in prophecy, one truth remains. The earth is changing, and it's calling us to change with it. This is a time to not only understand what's happening, but to act through mindfulness, compassion, and responsibility. Let's ask ourselves, how can we live in harmony with nature rather than in conflict with it? How can we protect the world that sustains us, for ourselves and generations yet to come? The lesson here is clear. Heed the warnings, not with fear, but with awareness. The greatest power we have is not to predict the future, but to shape it. Number 9. Food crisis and famine. Imagine this. It's the year 2025, and suddenly the price of food, things as simple and essential as rice, bread, or vegetables, skyrockets to the point where many people can no longer afford to eat. This isn't some distant dystopian fantasy, it's one of the most haunting predictions attributed to Nostradamus and echoed by the mysterious visions of Baba Vanga. Now, before we dive into panic, let's pause and reflect. Not because these seers predicted doom, but because their words may hold a deeper message. Could they be trying to alert us, not just to fear what's coming, but to change the way we live now, before it's too late? This prediction doesn't literally say we'll turn to cannibalism, as some dramatic interpretations suggest. Rather, it warns us of a severe food crisis, a famine born not only from nature's wrath or war, but from our collective neglect of the environment, of fair distribution, of mindful consumption. Now, I want you to picture how this might feel. Not from a distant perspective, but as if it were happening in your own neighborhood. You go to the market and see shelves half empty. A bag of rice costs as much as a week's salary. Families begin skipping meals. Children go to bed hungry. And then something shifts in society. Fear sets in. Desperation replaces patience. Your kind, honest neighbor might one day break into a store just to get food for their children. People you've always trusted might start fighting over leftovers in a trash bin. It's not that they've become bad people. They're simply trying to survive. This is the fragility of morality when hunger takes over. And it reminds us of the old Buddhist teaching. Hunger is the worst kind of illness. The gift of food is the gift of life. What happens to compassion when bellies are empty? What happens to kindness when fear clouds the mind? And yet, even in the darkness of such a vision, we are given a powerful opportunity, not to be afraid, but to act. These predictions aren't destiny, they're warnings. warnings that if we continue to prioritize profit over people, convenience over sustainability, and division over unity, we may find ourselves unraveling as a global family. But if we begin to care more, share more, and think beyond just ourselves, we can shift the outcome. So I ask you, what would you do today if you knew your actions could help prevent tomorrow's crisis? Could you waste less food, support local farmers, raise awareness in your community? Even small changes matter because, as the Buddha said, a jug fills drop by drop. Think about how interconnected we all are. When one part of the world suffers from famine, it's not isolated. It echoes. It affects markets, migration, politics, and peace. A lack of food doesn't just hurt the body, it shakes the foundation of society. The moment people stop feeling safe or secure in their ability to eat, everything begins to crack. But the good news is, we're not helpless. Not yet. By staying mindful, by choosing compassion over indifference, and by working together rather than hoarding in fear, we can rewrite this story. So, dear listener, do you believe that fate is written in stone, or do you believe, as I do, that our choices in the present shape the future? Let's not wait for prophecy to come true. Let's take it as a nudge to awaken, to be more mindful of what we consume, how we live, and how we care for one another. Because the end of humanity isn't just about famine or fire, it's about forgetting our humanity. And as long as we remember it, there is always hope. Number 10. Asteroid Impact. Nostradamus, the enigmatic seer of the 16th century, left behind cryptic verses that many believe predict future events, and among them is a chilling warning about a fiery object in the sky, interpreted by followers as a sign of a potential asteroid impact. He described a blazing force from above, suggesting an event so sudden and immense that it could change the course of life on Earth. This prophecy seemed to echo in real life toward the end of 2024, when astronomers worldwide turned their eyes toward the sky in concern. An asteroid, unexpectedly pulled into Earth's gravitational field, circled our planet for a few tense days before safely continuing its journey through space. The world watched in suspense, wondering if this was the celestial warning come to life. But according to the deeper interpretations of Nostradamus' writings, this was not yet the apocalyptic force he foresaw. His words imply a far greater threat, one capable of triggering global natural disasters, from massive earthquakes to tsunamis, and even shifts in climate patterns, all potentially stemming from a catastrophic impact. In our modern world, surrounded by technology and information, we often feel secure, even untouchable, but events like this remind us of how fragile our existence truly is. The Earth, as stable as it may seem, is still a small planet floating in a vast and unpredictable cosmos. While science has given us tools to detect and sometimes divert such threats, not everything can be controlled or predicted. And so, rather than living in fear, this moment offers a deeper reflection on how we live our lives today. Are we treating the Earth with care? Are we nurturing our relationships and our inner peace? Life can shift in an instant, and perhaps the real wisdom lies not in fearing the stars, but in using such moments to ground ourselves, to do good, avoid harm, and live with mindfulness and gratitude, because whether or not a cosmic event comes, the way we choose to live today shapes the destiny of humanity just as much as the path of any asteroid. If this message touched you, leave a comment with just one word gratitude is my choice today. Let it be a small reminder that no matter what happens in the skies above, we can choose peace and kindness here on earth. Number 11. Disease outbreak. Both Nostradamus and Baba Vanga, two of the most mysterious and talked about prophets in history, warned of a deadly disease emerging in 2025. Although neither gave specific details, no names, no symptoms, no clear origin, their predictions carry weight, especially in the world we live in today. Why does this concern feel so real to us? Because in recent years we've experienced firsthand how fragile our sense of normalcy can be. The pandemic reminded us all how quickly life can change, how invisible threats can reach every corner of the world, and how fear can spread even faster than any virus. So when ancient seers speak of disease, we can't help but listen a little more closely. What if their warnings aren't about a specific virus, but a sign urging us to pay attention to how we treat our bodies, our environment, and each other? Could it be that these prophecies are less about doom and more about awareness? Think about the health of the planet, the air we breathe, the water we drink, the stress we carry, and the disconnection we often feel from nature and from one another. Aren't these two symptoms of a deeper sickness? Maybe the message here is not just about preparing for a physical illness, but about healing the emotional, societal, and environmental imbalances we've been ignoring. Could the disease also be a metaphor for fear, division, and the spiritual emptiness we sometimes carry in our modern lives? As we move toward 2025, it's worth asking, what can we do today to build resilience, not just in our bodies, but in our communities and our hearts? When we care for each other, when we act with compassion instead of fear, when we learn from the past instead of denying it, we turn prophecy into purpose. So let this not be a call to panic, but a call to awareness. The lesson here is clear. Don't wait for a crisis to wake up. Start now. Nurture your health, protect your peace, and become a source of healing in a world that needs it. Number 12. British Monarchy Shake-Up. After the passing of Queen Elizabeth II, whose reign lasted an incredible 70 years and left a legacy of resilience and duty, King Charles III has now taken the throne. But what if this transition isn't the beginning of a new era, but the unraveling of an old one? According to Mario Reading, a well-known expert on the cryptic prophecies of Nostradamus 2025, might mark a profound turning point not only for the British monarchy, but for the very idea of royal lineage itself. He references a mysterious verse that speaks of the King of the Islands being removed and replaced by someone with no royal blood. Could this suggest a shocking shake-up of the monarchy, one that no longer follows the traditional bloodline? Reading believes Queen Elizabeth was not just a beloved figure, but the last monarch who truly embodied the spirit and stability of the royal institution. Her legacy, he argues, may not be continued, but instead her death might signal the beginning of the end for the monarchy as we've known it. He speculates that King Charles's reign could be cut short, perhaps not just by health concerns, but by the weight of public opinion, a public that is more aware than ever of issues surrounding privilege, transparency, and trust. Think about it. Are we entering a time when even centuries-old institutions like royalty are being questioned, reshaped, or even replaced? Could this shake-up in leadership be a sign that people are searching not for figureheads of tradition, but for authenticity, truth, and meaningful guidance? What does it say about us as a society when we begin to turn away from hereditary power and start imagining something entirely new? And how do we hold compassion for those born into roles they didn't choose, like Charles, while still challenging the systems that no longer serve the collective well-being? These questions don't come with easy answers, but they do open a door for self-reflection. What kind of leadership do we want in our world today? Not just in palaces, but in everyday life. As we move through uncertain times, let us remember another quote from the Dhammapada. All conditioned things are impermanent. When one sees this with wisdom, one turns away from suffering. Perhaps, rather than fearing change, we can see it as a necessary part of growth, a call to evolve, and an invitation to create a future rooted not in status, but in compassion and truth. As we've explored today, the visions of Nostradamus and Baba Vanga are not just eerie predictions. They're reflections of our deepest fears, hopes, and responsibilities. Whether or not 2025 marks the end of humanity, one thing is clear. The future is shaped not by prophecy alone, but by the choices we make today. Let's not wait for warnings to come true. Let's use them as reminders to live with greater mindfulness, compassion, and unity. Because the real power lies not in knowing what's coming, but in how we prepare our hearts to meet it. If this video offered you a new perspective or sparked deeper thought, please like, share, and subscribe to The Journey of Wisdom. And don't forget to turn on notifications so you won't miss any of our upcoming reflections and stories. Together, let's continue walking this path, one step closer to understanding, one breath closer to peace. Until next time, stay grounded, stay kind, and stay awake.